What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks Philly Sports. It's obviously your boy Scotty here, ready to give you the recap to the Eagles and the Cowboys Sunday night football matchup phenomenon. Just another week being a part of the NFC East. Man, does this division stink. And, every week it seems like the Eagles somehow convince me that they're worse. Like I don't understand how you get healthier and the offense looks worse. I mean, I'm praying. I'm obviously, and we'll get into this, with Carson Wentz. Obviously, I mean, he's an issue right now, and like I said, we'll dig into that. That's probably the biggest takeaway from the game was, how badly Carson Wentz played. And, kind of just where we're at with with the Eagles regarding that relationship with Carson Wentz. Other than that, you have to hope that maybe, Goddard coming back, Reagor coming back, maybe it, was almost too much for Carson Wentz. Maybe it was too much to process in such a little time having those weapons back. I don't know what it is. It seems like Carson gets worse as we get healthier, and it's weird to me. I don't understand where that comes from, but we'll dive into that. Obviously, we had Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor, the duo out there, and it was beautiful to see to get that game started. And as that game kept going on, you just keep seeing how good Travis Fulgham is. And, what a beautiful surprise he has been for this team. And I can't be any more grateful that Howie found Travis Fulgham somehow. There's no way around it. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how this guy snuck through through the wedges and stuff with these other teams like the Lions and the Packers. This guy's a stud. And, wide receiver one, maybe we're, exaggerating a little bit, but this guy has came in and just blew our minds out. And he's putting up wide receiver one numbers. So that there's no lying in the numbers. That's for sure. Obviously, BG continues. He's obviously our defensive player of the year at this point. And I'll actually get into that type of stuff, in next week's episode, during the bye week. Kind of just touch on, it's the midpoint in the Eagles season, and kind of just want to give out, any awards and, maybe some type of like punishments. Because we're definitely going to have, like the most disappointing players so far, which is the weirdest thing about Carson Wentz is you can make a case that he's the MVP of the team, but then you can also make the case that he is the biggest disappointment of the team. That's weird. And once again, we'll get into that in a little bit. But just keep an eye out for that episode coming out next week. I'm going to have my guy, Johnny Uleka from All About the Birds on. But before we dive in here, obviously I was finishing my point on BG. TJ Edwards had a great game. Defense in general had a really good game against Ben DiNucci, let's be honest here, in a beat-up offensive line. The Cowboys are really bad. We'll get into that. The state of the NFC East. And then we'll kind of take a look at the, just going forward, what to expect from the Birds and, kind of talk about how, trade deadline. There wasn't much news there for the Birds. So we'll kind of dive into that, whether that was the right move or not. Before we dive into the actual content of the show, obviously I want to get my stuff out there. Be sure to go follow me on Twitter at Scotty Drown. That's the personal page. At ST Philly Sports 1 for the sports page, Scotty Talks Philly Sports. Also, be sure to give my guy, Tony Cotillo, and his team over at Heat Ratio Sports a follow on Twitter as well. They're always coming with that hot content, hot takes. And my man, Tony Cotillo, Jigsaw, man, that guy is one of a kind, and he puts the work in. Make sure to give those guys a follow over there at Heat Ratio Sports. Definitely appreciate that. Just make sure after or during or right now watching this video, make sure to like and subscribe to it. Definitely could use all the support that we can get here. And Philly, I love you, so show the love back. But let's dive in here. It's going to be a quick one, quick notes today. Don't want to make it too long. want to spend too much time hitting the same nail with the hammer. Everybody's talking about it this week, and the biggest takeaway I think so is obviously Carson Wentz and his struggles. We'll dive into that right now. I mean, like I said, how can a guy be so inconsistent that he is at the midway point of the season, he is your MVP? And there's other guys you can make a case for. I mean, even Travis Fulgham, you can make a case for. That guy's been phenomenal. But Carson Wentz, I mean, we can talk about it. You can make a case for it. But you can also make an astonishing case that he's been the biggest disappointment and maybe the most detrimental to the team. Excuse me, with those turnovers. So with that being said, Carson Wentz leads the league in turnovers, leads the league in interceptions, 12. Through 2 against Dallas, who has an historically bad defense, also fumbled the ball twice, continues to show a lack of pocket awareness, holding the ball too long. And, I know coming out of last week's game against the Giants on Thursday Night Football, my whole motto talking about Carson Wentz was, basically let Carson be Carson. Like Carson, he does have to hold the ball a little bit longer than most quarterbacks sometimes in order to make some of those phenomenal plays that he makes, right? So that's just coming out of that, and you come into the Dallas game and you say, all right, let's let Carson be Carson. This is where it crosses the line for me. And, and I've talked about this to several other Eagles fans, since the game happened on Sunday night. And I think we're all in agreement, if Nick Foles was the backup quarterback on Sunday night, or, even a guy like Josh McCown with veteran experience, could come in and settle the team down, Carson would have gotten benched on Sunday night. And I truly believe that wholeheartedly. And to an extent, I think he needed it. I mean, you come out the first drive, the sack that he took on the forced fumble was just it's inexcusable at this stage of his career. I was just watching my guy over on Heat Ratio Sports, Tony, talking about it. Carson isn't this, 24, 25, even 23-year-old quarterback, some young guy learning on the fly, at the peak, at the top of, potential. It's not potential anymore. You are what you are. It's 5 years in. And I know I've defended Carson. I'm a Carson Wentz apologist. Like everything that I hate about Howie Roseman apologists, that's me for Carson. And, this weekend against the Cowboys, against a historically bad defense, this was where I drew the line. Because, I would never call to bench Carson, and I didn't against the Cowboys, but only because it's Jalen Hurts behind him. Only because that. And my thing about, everybody that's calling for Jalen Hurts to be, come in, give him a shot, bench Carson, I get it. I definitely get it. It's understandable. But you gotta take something away from this season that we haven't seen, and kind of put the microscope on it and maybe think, why hasn't this happened? They're always bringing Jalen Hurts in for these wildcat plays. They'll slide Carson Wentz out to out in the wide receiver spot, and you have Jalen Hurts in the backfield, and it's always a run option. He either hands it off or he takes it himself for a run. But we've seen him pass the ball twice this season. So there's a reason that we're not throwing the pass option in there with that run option, at least, maybe a third of the snaps that he's played this year. Because obviously he comes in, I mean, he's running the ball every time. What do you think? What play do you think he's running when he's back there with the running back? It's a read option. I mean, it's obvious as day. So why not throw a pass in there every once in a while? There's a reason for that, because they don't trust him as a passer yet, and is exactly the reason why I'm not throwing Jalen Hurts out there. That's a double-ended sword, and just as much as you degrade Carson, you take all of his confidence away, you will also be throwing a rookie out there behind a beat-up offensive line with a bunch of young playmakers. And what if he falls on the dagger himself? So now you're ruining 2 players at once. not a good idea. If you're that concerned about Carson, you just let him play out this season, ruin himself, and hope, Jalen Hurts can be that guy, and maybe one day, we can surround him with a team that is stable enough. But this isn't the team. I mean, if Carson, the way Carson has played, I just can't count on Jalen Hurts, coming. Carson, notably has been probably the most pressured quarterback in the NFL, and take it or leave it against, some other guys in the league. But I mean, he's definitely been one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the most. So with that being said, what do you expect Jalen Hurts to do other than come out and scramble for his life? Which I'm sorry, that's just not an offense that works these days. But that's kind of where I'm at with Carson. If I'm not going to sit here and defend him as if he's like some little kid that I have to protect his feelings, or I used to just be so protective of Carson, and now I'm at the point where you got to take the gloves off, and it's time to go, Carson. I mean, these last couple of years, probably the last 2-3 years, Eagles fans have been, till their eyes are bleeding out defending Carson Wentz, his injuries, some of the statistics that you read up about him, all his criticisms. And you just see now it's like, well, we're saying this every year. We're counting on Carson. Like, this is going to be the year where, Carson is elite. Carson, finally got it together. And, this is Carson's breakout season since 2017. It hasn't happened yet. And while the numbers last year and the numbers the year before that, good, over 20 touchdowns, under 7 interceptions, great. It's a good quarterback. It's not an elite quarterback. And you see the beginning of this season, it was like we had those, good seasons, these last 2 seasons with Carson. And you kind of just wait for him. You're waiting for him to have that elite season again, where he proves that he is a top 5, a top 10 quarterback. And, he kind of comes out this season in a division where you're the only team that has a returning coach. You're the only team now that has their, legit starting quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones, give or take, whatever, sure. Not basing, my franchise quarterback off Danny Dimes out of New York. No. But, Dak's out. Obviously, Dwayne Haskins gone. They're going with Kyle Allen in Washington. So you look around Carson and you're like, well, what's the excuse? I mean, we got injuries, but so does a lot of other teams. And they don't miss a beat. And they don't lead the league in interceptions. I mean, Daniel Jones doesn't lead the league in interceptions. Neither does Kyle Allen. And it's not even close. I think where I break down with Carson is, give or take. I mean, let him be Carson, but to an extent, you gotta calm it down, man. The hero ball has to stop. Those 2 interceptions were literally atrocious. Just unacceptable. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is not a good cornerback, and he was ranked, one of PFF's top cornerbacks of this week. Ridiculous. And I'm just to this point with Carson where, I'm not on the end of taking him out and putting in Jalen Hurts, but I am right there. Like I am close. And I wouldn't bring in Jalen Hurts as a permanent replacement, but just to put Carson in his place and tone it down a little bit. I don't know if he needs his confidence. Maybe his confidence is too high. He needs it knocked down a notch. But it's funny. I saw my guy Phil and a bunch of other guys, especially over on All About the Birds. They were kind of complaining this situation with Doug and Carson to that of Brett Brown and Ben Simmons. Brett Brown, just the players coach. He's going to do anything to make his guys feel good and be confident, rather than reprimanding them, punishing them, making sure that they're held accountable. So where I see the resemblance here is, we let Ben Simmons get away with not shooting. Brett Brown says he wants Ben to shoot a 3-pointer a game. But then, he doesn't do it and nothing is said about it. So To that extent, Doug is coming out after every game. These turnovers are unacceptable. But then you come out and you have Carson turn over the ball again 4 times against the worst defense in the NFL. Let's be honest. The worst defense in the NFL gets 4 turnovers. That's unacceptable. And, I know everybody's fed up of Carson Wentz's post-game interviews. I mean, I've got to be better. I've got to learn. No, you should have been learning in the offseason. And this is where I come down on Carson because, you say you got to be better. Well, it's time to get better. It's year 5, and we are running out of that window of, waiting on Carson to be that franchise guy. They drafted Jalen Hurts, and they created a very, very shorter leash for Carson Wentz. You got a young, athletic, explosive guy in Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position. It's tempting. I get it. It's tempting. My only problem is that we most likely do not have an offense developed for Jalen Hurts because Doug Peterson's style offense isn't for Jalen Hurts. It's not. But it'll be interesting to see, Carson Wentz gets this bye week right at the perfect time. You're at the midway mark. You got 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. It's time to clean it up, man, and, get the kinks out. You're going to get guys like Miles Sanders back. You're going to get guys like Reagor, fully back, time to practice. Dallas Goedert, fully back, time to practice. It's time to take advantage of it. And, you'll get Lane Johnson. Hopefully he can take a break and come back fully healthy. But you're getting guys back. It's time to take advantage of it. And, you come out, you do 4 turnovers against the worst defense in the NFL, who is also our biggest rival within our division. You come out, you turn the ball over 4 times. You're hurting the team. You're not making us better. So we can literally plug a game manager in there that can win us that game and not do the things that Carson Wentz does. So, let Carson be Carson, but if it's detrimental to the team to that extent, then it's time to can it. And I mean that wholeheartedly here. I do have confidence that Carson will turn it around. Obviously, as a Carson apologist, I've always had the confidence that Carson has the talent, has the potential. I feel like we're all there. But, it takes something more to put it all together consistently and, always just having your shit together as a quarterback. And that comes with studying film. That comes with studying your mechanics, your footwork, your body movements. I mean, some of his throws, the mechanics are just off. And that's why the throws are so inaccurate. They're so inaccurate. And those are the plays where he's turning the ball over. So, and this will kind of transition us into the next point. We're running out of the excuses for Carson because guys are coming back. They're coming back. He had Goddard and Reagor out there this game. We lost Deshaun Jackson, sure. We haven't had him the whole season. You got Reagor, you got Hightower, you got Fulgham, you got J-Jaw, you got Greg Ward, you got Dallas Goedert, you got Richard Rodgers. You got guys out there. And you got Boston Scott. You got Corey Clement. I know Corey Clement hasn't been much, but, ride with me here. This is a lot more than what Carson Wentz has had. So the excuses are running out, and this is kind of segueing into the next point. Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor. I mean, these guys look to be like the guys. I know Jalen Reagor, only 3 catches, 16 yards, a tutty. But those were monumental 16 yards. I mean, the way we got the ball to him in space. I love to see, the third down play, gets the juke, makes the guy miss, gets the first down. Those are the plays that I cannot wait to see more of. Definitely got to get these plays, Jalen Reagor in space, Jalen Reagor through the middle. He's a quick guy, fast guy. Obviously, you're going to have your bombs with them. Shout out to the Reagor Bomb, new T-shirt from All About the Birds. That shit is sick. Definitely go check that out. But, the Reagor Bombs, they're on the way. And with a guy like Fulgham, it's just going to open up the field more for Jalen Reagor and vice versa. So you look at Fulgham coming out of this game. He had 6 receptions, 78 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. This guy's doing it every game. He's bringing it every game. I don't know what else we can expect from him. I mean, it can only – I imagine it can get better from here. But, This guy is a real deal. I mean, what is this? This is just about 5 or 6 games now. I believe it's 5 of Fulgham, where he has been highly productive in every single game. The only consistent piece of our offense since he's came into the fold. And I just think this bodes well for Carson, but does it? Because now you don't have any excuses. And, now that the excuses are running out, you have Reagor there, who is the first-round draft pick. He's the guy. You call Fulgham wide receiver 1, but Jalen Reagor has the potential to be wide receiver 1 as well. So you got 2 guys, 2 young prospects that, if Carson can pull his shit together, these are going to be your guys for the next couple of years. Between those 2, Miles and Dallas Goedert, these are your key pieces, Carson. So, you hope that it's the shortage in the practice window that he had the time to spend with guys like Goedert and Reagor. You had Goedert out there, only 1 target, 15-yard catch. I expect that to increase, obviously. The excuses are over. These receivers are legit. Still have to wait to see from Reagor, obviously, the complete legitness. But to see him at first game back, coming out of a multi-week injury, first week back on the practice field as well, playing with guys, to see him get in the end zone was monumental for his career. Not only his career, but his confidence. He's going to be he's already a confident individual. And his first career touchdown is only going to make that better and more apparent. So I'm looking forward to these guys in the receiving game. Philly, we have some legit receivers now. Let's enjoy the shit out of it. With that being said, I'll move to my next point. The offense doesn't have an identity. They need to figure that shit out, and they have a whole bye week and a half to, get it figured out. You'll get Miles back in the fold. Should, make us more inclined to run the ball, I would hope. I thought Boston Scott was filling in nicely. I just thought we didn't use him as much as we should, especially against bad teams. Especially bad teams against the run. Beside the point, but that offense needs to find an identity. Doug's got to get more consistent with play calling. But the biggest note is obviously Carson Wentz. Stop turning over the goddamn ball. It's enough. It's enough, Carson. Seriously, it's enough. We'll move to the defense. Obviously, BG came up with a huge strip sack at the beginning of the game. Changed the whole momentum of the game. You're coming off of Carson Wentz. I believe it was an interception or the forced fumble, whichever, regardless of what it was. It was a turnover. The Cowboys were scheduled, to go up 10-0 right there. And BG gets a strip sack. We go down. We score. Totally, redirected the momentum of the game, put us right back in it. And then, of course, we had TJ Edwards with the crucial strip sack in the fourth quarter, which was returned by Rodney McLeod for a big fumble return touchdown. And that kind of sealed the game away. Defense, let's be real. They came up huge. I know they were playing against Ben DiNucci. I know he's a third string, 7th round undrafted guy, whatever the case may be. But they took advantage of the opportunities. That's the point here. And, as bad as we've considered our defense this season, they're still able to come out and, make plays against guys like Daniel Jones or against guys like, Ben DiNucci. And that's going to be the difference this season is our defense, making plays rather than just, whether it's them just getting a stop and getting the ball back for the offense. The offense has struggled. And the defense has done it twice this year where they've supplemented the offense with scoring on the defensive end. They did it against San Francisco and now again against the Cowboys. And let's be real. I mean, it ultimately changes the entire game when they do stuff like that. And all you can do is commend them. These guys play with effort. The linebacking play has been better. Let's be honest. It's been better. You had Zeke out there. He only had, 63 rushing yards? I mean, in a game where they need to run the ball with Zeke, only 63 rushing yards. I mean, we strapped Zeke down. You got Amari Cooper, 1 catch, 5 yards on 5 targets. That's their main receiver. Shut that down. And then, obviously Ben DiNucci had pressure on him all night and, forced forced the 2 fumbles that were costly for that Cowboys team. So, the Eagles defense is making the plays that they need to make in order to give us a shot. And then you have, the guy Carson Wentz, who is shooting the defense in the foot by throwing picks and fumbling the football. So just got to hope that the defense, hopefully, one, Carson obviously gets his shit together. And then you just hope that the defense can stay consistent, lending that hand, because that's going to be the difference in making us a dominant team. So obviously the defense has looked just like the rest of the team. Let's be honest, it's inconsistent. Against bad teams, they play well. Of course, they should. But the good note is that they are able to play well and make huge plays, like game-changing plays. So that's the difference there. Just a couple things, to just look forward to coming out of the bye week. And I'll definitely dive into this more on the next episode. This is just a quick notes, quick hits episode of Scotty Talks Philly Sports. Just really wanted to get out my recap for the Cowboys. But during the bye week, I'm going to really dive in on, what the Eagles have going for them going forward. Obviously, we're shooting for that division title. We want to get that 4 seed in the playoffs, get that home field advantage, that home field game in the first round. And, if we get that far, we get our team a little bit healthier. There's no saying what can happen in that first game. Now, when you reach the levels of the teams like the Seahawks, Packers, Bucks, whatever the case may be, obviously you're going to be a little bit on the underdog side. But even then, it's any given Sunday, especially here in Philly. We play up to our competition. We play down to our competition. We could lose to the who's the worst team in the NFL? We could lose to the Cowboys. Shit, we could lose to the Cowboys and go out and beat, the Packers or the Saints or the Seahawks. So inconsistent team is going to be just that, inconsistent. You just hope that you get to the playoffs and give yourself a chance. Obviously, we're getting guys back from injuries. You're going to get Alshon back eventually, sure. He is a plus if he does come back. I'm sure he can get us a catch or 2 a game. We should be getting Miles Sanders back. That's one of my biggest question marks of the first half of this season. What the hell is going on with Miles Sanders? The usage at the beginning of the season and then this most recent injury that, seems like nobody's talking about. It's kind of weird to me once again. Should get Lane Johnson back. Hopefully they just give him a few weeks to rest. Let him get his leg together, and then let's give it a shot. Let's not pull a Jason Peters here where he's playing every week but leaving the games early every week. And then obviously we got guys like Goddard and Reagor back, that are getting on track. I know Goddard only had 1 target, 15 yards in that game. It's going to get better. Carson loves his tight ends. And, they get a full bye week together. They'll get some time to get back on the practice field, get that rhythm and that connection going. They're going to be good. You just hope that Doug can find the identity of this offense. And, when Miles does come back, if this is a run-based offense, which I know Doug will not allow it to be, but if it has to be, then we need to go that route. I mean, Carson plays better when we have a strong running game. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, as we get deeper into the season out of this bye week, midway point. Just getting healthier and our guys playing well enough to give themselves a chance. That's all you can hope for going forward. As far as, the trade deadline, I'll touch on this really quick. Honestly, it surprised me, I guess, that we didn't make any moves. But I'm not mad. It's actually what I wanted. It's a good surprise. So I wrote an article probably like 2 weeks ago, saying how the Eagles, Howie Roseman will be a buyer at the deadline. Part of it will be due to his ego. Kudos to Howie, man. He didn't let that come into play here. And maybe it was the other part of his ego that thinks the team's already good enough. But I'm hoping that it's more on the end, keep our draft capital, only try to get rid of, contracts that are hurting the team. They were trying to push Alshon out the door up until the deadline, and obviously nobody took any bites at it. But I think they stayed true to what the plan should have been, and that's just to get younger, help our cap situation and, don't make any moves that are detrimental. You don't really need to get better to win the division. You can win the division with the team you have right now. So there's no point in wasting draft capital, looking for these unlocked, this hidden potential type of players. No need for it. We'll go into the offseason. We'll get these bad contracts off our books, and we'll use our draft picks wisely. I would hope so. But yeah, no moves at the deadline. Not really. I guess it's more surprising on the end that we didn't do anything, just because Howie usually is very active. But I'm okay this year not being, even though we get attached to every single name that becomes available. Not this year. Let's keep it moving forward with the guys we got, and let's go win the division. Let's give ourselves a chance in the playoffs, right? So real quick before I end the show, really just want to touch on the Eagles' next 6 games, and I'll dive way deeper into it on the next episode. Promise you that. The bye week special episode featuring Johnny Uleka. So next 6 games, right? We got the New York Giants, the Browns, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, and Cardinals. And then we finish out the season with the Cowboys and the Washington football team. Obviously, the hopes is that you win the rest of your division games. So that should be at least, 3 more wins. So you got at least 3 more wins, I would like to think, barring injuries, barring Carson Wentz, 4 turnover games again throughout this season. Which, by the way, that Cowboys game is the worst game I've ever seen from Carson. 123 yards, 4 turnovers. Disgusting against the worst defense in the league. But we won't go down that road again. But yeah, I think we do have 3 more wins at least just from our division. But I'll kind of give you my takes on the next 6 games, just quickly here. So obviously I got us beating the Giants coming off the bye week. I think that should be a game where we hopefully take care of business. We're rested. We have guys come back from injury. Hopefully we can win by double digits. Not have to stress, I hope. The next game would be the Browns, who I do kind of expect us to win. It's definitely a losable game. All the games going forward are losable. Let's be honest. The Eagles aren't that great that they're this overwhelming favorite. I think we should beat the Browns, and I especially think we should beat the Browns if we want to have a chance, at just having close to 8 wins. I think that's the only shot we have. Obviously, the Seahawks, Packers up next. Definitely think we're going to lose to the Seahawks. I mean, let's be honest. Russell Wilson's our kryptonite. DK Metcalf will destroy us somehow just to make us hate our lives even more. And that game will not go well against that high-powered offense. It won't go well. And then, the Packers and Saints are interesting. So on my paper here, I got us losing to the Packers, beating the Saints. I think that's in either or. So I think we're going to win one of those games and we're going to lose one. The reason I picked us to lose to the Packers is because I just don't think you beat Aaron Rodgers 2 years in a row. Just being completely honest, I don't think it happens. And I think Aaron Rodgers is playing at a better level this season. As far as the Saints, I think they're beatable. The Packers are beatable as well, but the Saints are more beatable. They've looked more susceptible this year. With losses to the Raiders, teams like that. Definitely still the Saints. It's definitely still Drew Brees. Michael Thomas hasn't played all season, and likely he'll be playing by then. But just a team that I doesn't have me shaking in my boots, especially coming up here to Philadelphia to play us outside. They do not scare me as much as they used to. And I think we're just due for a win against New Orleans in all reality. Now, the next game would be the Arizona Cardinals. While I think we can win this game, of course we can win that game. But, just based off the way this season has played out, it seems like mobile quarterbacks have killed us. Lamar Jackson went for over 100 rushing yards. Danny Dimes had over 90 rushing yards. And then even Ben DiNucci got out of the pocket a couple times. Nothing crazy, but, Kyler Murray's a different breed. He's up there in the same realms as, Lamar Jackson as far as running the football as a quarterback. And I expect a huge day for him against us. Let's be honest. Running quarterbacks we do not fare well against. And I think that will likely cost us that game. And then I do believe we finish out the season with 2 wins, and we'll need them to win the division. So I definitely give us those last 2 wins against the Cowboys and the Washington football team. But that's it for this episode, guys. I just wanted to kind of give you my feels going into the, bye week. Coming out of that Cowboys win that felt like a loss and somehow, just kind of wanted to give you guys my vibe, going into the break. And it's not all bad, but it's definitely not all good. And you're just hoping to see some improvements from Carson and Doug Peterson and that offense in general. The defense is what it is. They're kind of going to play like that the rest of the season, I feel like. Just kind of inconsistent, but there to make a play when you really, really need one. I think they do have that capability in them. Just need some consistency going forward from the offense to take some pressure off that defense. There's so much pressure on the defense every game to just not give up a score. And we got to stop playing like that. The offense needs to have the defense's back. And hopefully we see that coming out of the bye week against the Giants. But, guys, it's not all bad. The trade deadline wasn't some monumental marker for us. The team is what it is. They can win the division with what they got. And you just got to hope guys come back healthy and they stay healthy. And we should be good going forward. Definitely stay tuned in the upcoming weeks. Like I said, I'm going to have a big bye week special coming out featuring Johnny Uleka. May have some other special guests on there just to, really break down the Birds in the first half of the season and then break down the second half of the season for the Birds as well. But that's going to be it for this show, guys. Once again, just remember to go follow me on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. Also, check out the sports page at ST Philly Sports 1. And then, of course, follow my comrades over at Heat Ratio Sports, and that is at Heat Ratio Sports. And that's on Twitter as well. You can also check us out on Facebook, ScottyTalks Philly Sports, and Heat Ratio Sports. Butchered that up a little bit, but be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Always a pleasure getting to express myself to you all. And I always appreciate the love and support and, just the fact that you even give it a listen. Thank you, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe on all your main streaming platforms. And that is going to be it for Scotty. I'm out. Go Birds. Top of the division somehow going into the bye week. We're going to make the playoffs, and maybe we'll make some noise. I'm out. Go Birds, guys.